Welcome back to the Inside D3 Show Season 2. Brand new episodes, brand new topics, brand new guests, and a whole lot more to discuss for you guys. I don't know about y'all, but I'm super excited to get this new content out. So be on the lookout for new episodes on all of our platforms. You can follow us on our website at InsideD3.com. D3 Inside is still the Twitter and the Instagram. And for our Facebook and all of our streaming platforms, just search the Inside D3 Show. So yeah, I'm done talking. Enjoy the season, enjoy the show, and thank you guys for watching. Thanks to the guests and everyone else that's been supporting since day one. So, joining us on the call today, we have Portia Hoeg. She is the Executive Director of the Cenntenial Conference. So, Portia, welcome. Happy Friday. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Morgan. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, definitely. So, for our topic today, we're going to talk about Black women in sports. So I think we have a great representation of that here today. So I want, Portia, can you give me a quick little history lesson on you and, kind of your journey within athletics to get to where you are right now?
Yes, absolutely. So I was a Division III student athlete. I played basketball at Trinity University in San Antonio, Texas. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. So while a student athlete there, I had an opportunity to intern with the San Antonio Sports Foundation. And it was there that I fell in love with this idea of athletic administration. I didn't realize there was this whole industry behind athletics. And as a business major, it seemed like the perfect fit of my passion for athletics as well as my academic background in business. So when I graduated from Trinity, I set out to pursue any athletic job that I could find. And it led me to Atlanta, Georgia. They just hosted the Olympics. They're obviously a hub of professional and collegiate sports. And I actually kind of stumbled into an internship with the WBCA, the Women's Basketball Coaches Association. Had a wonderful time there. Helped to put on the Final Four and all of the coaches events behind that. It was a lot of fun to see the Final Four up close and personal. Everyone from Division I basketball coaches all the way to high school basketball coaches. At the time, I kind of thought maybe I wanted to go down the road of basketball and being a director of basketball operations. But I happened upon another internship at Smith College, and they were one of the first recipients of the NCAA Division III Ethnic Minority and Women's Internship Grant programs. So I was in the very first class of that, had a position on campus in their athletic department as their event management coordinator, learned a little bit about eligibility and compliance. I also worked in residence life because I'd never lived in Northeast anywhere before as a Southerner. So I needed a place to live, and they were kind enough to let me work in residence life too. So that was a wonderful 2-year experience. With that, I had professional development from the NCAA, so I was allowed to go to various leadership conferences, go to the convention, engaged with everyone within that conference, and really kind of got the bug for college athletics at that point in time. Being at a women's college was very empowering. My athletic director was a woman. My mentor, the associate AD, is a woman. Everyone around you is just very inspiring, and it was a wonderful environment to start out my college athletic experience. When my internship ended, I then went on to Vassar College, which is within the Seven Sisters, and they had an interim assistant AD position. And it was a great opportunity for me to expand my background, to get some more experience in budgeting, supervising, compliance and eligibility, some more of the administrative functions of a college athletic department. Knowing that that was a year-long program, I then wanted to go into something a little bit more, steady and expand my resume as well. So Lake Forest College had been a recipient of the Division III the Division III Ethnic Minority Matching Grant. So that was an entry-level administrative position. Assistant athletic director, allowed me to work in some of the more external opportunities in an athletic department. So I was in charge of their fan club, working with their student booster organization, SAC. I was really hands-on with them. And again, doing a little bit more of the reporting within their athletic department. After 3 years, the associate AD actually got out of the business. She decided to leave athletics, and I lobbied super hard for her job as the associate AD in the SWA, and they put a lot of trust in me, and they elevated me to that position. After about 3.5 years, I was ready to take the next step in my career and wanted to be an athletic director. I felt like I had touched on almost every administrative facet in an athletic department, and so I felt I was well-rounded enough to become an athletic director. The position at Allegheny College in Western PA opened up, and it was a wonderful first AD job for me. They had a tremendous history in a very strong league in the NCAA. And it was really an environment that I felt I could grow and thrive in as a first-time athletic director. So we were able to do a lot of wonderful things there, started 2 sports, built some facilities, put some things in place to help build facilities, hired a lot of new staff members, learned a lot about engaging with alumni. I sat on the president's staff, which was a tremendous opportunity to have a seat at that table and work with the president directly. And then after about almost 7 years there, I was seeking opportunities that were a bit more elevated from an academic standpoint. I wanted to work at a stronger, the top 25 athletic program, academic program, and the position at Rhodes opened up. I wasn't at Rhodes for very long. I think that it wasn't the environment that I had anticipated it being, so it wasn't a very good fit. But soon after leaving there, this position opened up at the Cenntenial Conference. And I didn't have conference experience. All of my experience had been on a campus, but I knew that if I were going to take on a conference position, it was going to be one at a highly selective conference, one that kind of fit the profile of other institutions I had been to, which were, high academic, high athletic type organizations. And the Cenntenial Conference caught my eye, and I suppose I caught their eye as well. Here I am almost a year and a half later, very much enjoying this experience, getting to work with a tremendous set of institutions that not only represent academic excellence, but also athletic excellence, and the student athletes engage at a high level in terms of social justice. And that's very exciting for me as well. So, it was kind of a long, winding road, but all in all, Division III has been my passion. I love Division III as a former Division III student athlete, and I've gotten to work at a lot of different institutions. So I'm very proud to now be representing the Cenntenial Conference as their executive director.
So we always talk a lot about, the vast number of inequalities and struggles that, Black women deal with within, whether it's a professional setting or even just the world of athletics. But what do you think are some advantages that you have, gotten from growing up as a woman of color and, growing up in a professional setting as well and being a woman of color? What are some things that you feel like you've been able to kind of pick up and work towards your advantage?
Sure. It certainly hasn't been easy, right? Especially, I will say, at the Division III level, we're not as diverse as some other levels. The biggest advantage, I believe, is just the representation component. Being able to represent, in essence, 2 groups of minority or marginalized people, one being a woman and the other being Black. And so in each environment that I've been in, I've been able to hire staff of diverse backgrounds because it's been more of a focus for me, knowing the importance of having diverse people around you. I also believe that when I was on campus, we were able to recruit more student athletes of color. I was very much engaged in the recruiting process. I believe for a lot of parents and guardians, the opportunity to meet me and see that the athletic director looks like them is something they didn't see at a lot of other places. So that became somewhat of a recruiting advantage for us. I also hope, and this remains to be seen because a lot of student athletes are still in school, but my hope is, as a result of seeing me in this position, either as a commissioner or even as an athletic director, there are more women and women of color who could see themselves working in this industry because they have in fact seen someone that has done it. And again, it hasn't been easy by any means, but I have taken advantage of having a seat at the table and have really had some tough conversations with the people around me about the importance of diversity and inclusion. try to assist them in their hiring processes. So whether it's, the membership of the Cenntenial Conference or being on campus and assisting our head coaches, I was always willing to make a phone call, reach out to my HBCU colleagues or, the other handful of women of color in this industry to say, hey, we're really focused on a diverse candidate pool. Who do you have? Let's get someone in the mix. So that's the biggest advantage, but it doesn't come without its trials and tribulations, but I really feel like it's an invaluable piece of what we do. And it's something that we should continue to stay focused on and continue to work towards. It's not just going to happen. Those individuals aren't just going to fall in our lap. And we need to really make a concerted effort to pursue individuals with diverse backgrounds. And it only makes us that much stronger as an organization by doing so.
I love that. I know you talked a little bit about, some minority grants that you received, but how important is that in terms of, making that transition?
It was very important. I mean, to this day, I attribute a lot of my professional experiences to the opportunities that the NCAA provided through their grant programs. As a recipient, as an intern, one of my first really full-time administrative positions came as a result of the institution applying for a grant. And as a result of that, I've twice applied for, actually 3 times now, I believe, have applied for a grant and received it and been able to hire diverse individuals as a result of that. And most recently in the Cenntenial Conference, we've expanded our office from 2 to 3, and we were able to hire another woman of color who had gone through the program for the NCAA at Hiram College, and we hired her here at the Cenntenial Conference. So in some ways, I continue to pay it forward, act as a mentor and a grant writer, but it's extremely important that we take advantage of those opportunities, but also hire the right people. And as a result, we're building up our pipeline.
That's awesome. So how would you describe, the landscape of, Black women in sports right now, whether it's competing or, being in administration? What do you feel like the landscape is for it right now?
It probably depends on where you are, but we're getting there slowly but surely. Some of my colleagues and I, we text on a regular basis, we check in with each other on a regular basis, and though the progress is slow, it is progress nonetheless. I look at even my being hired here at the Cenntenial Conference. I'm the first African-American woman to be hired as a Division III commissioner. How was it 2019 when I was hired and we still hadn't had a woman of color, a Black woman in this role yet? And since then, we've added one more, Danielle Harris, shout out to the WEAC. She's number 2. And, when I was an athletic director, I believe at that time I was one of maybe 9 or 10. And we've lost some and we've gained some even in the last few months in the athletic director realm, which is very exciting. But we still have so much more work to do, especially when I look at, a lot of Division I's have associate ADs or people who work in student athlete development or external relations or sports information. I look at some of the secondary positions, if you will, in athletic administration, and I see a lot of diversity. But what I don't see is them elevating to that next level. And even in the Division I level, I like Carla Williams at Virginia, and then Candace Story Lee at Vanderbilt, the first in the SEC. They're still kind of catching up. So Division III has been, I would say, ahead of Division I in that realm, and Division II does well, and they have the opportunity to glean from the HBCUs. But the landscape is getting somewhat better, but we still have work to do. We have a lot of work to do in engaging women of color in athletic administration, especially looking at our student athlete population. When you look at certain sports and you see that the women are there, but why is it that they choose not to or feel like they couldn't pursue this role is yet to be seen. But I know myself, as well as other women of color in athletic administration, we've worked extremely hard to support each other, to have a network, but also to reach out to others and try to ensure that we continue to have diversity in the years to come. It's not going to just stop with me, and it's going to go to the next generation and hopefully so on and so forth.
So my last question before I get you out of here, I want to know if you were able to, go up in front of a lot of the major professionals in sports, whether it's, collegiate or professional or anything like that. And you were able to, just be up there and educate them on things they may not know or understand about, Black women in any career setting. What are some things that you would tell them?
Oh, that's a great question. In a lot of ways, we're just like everyone else. We just want an opportunity. You have to seek us out. We probably aren't going to just fall on your lap. Take the time to build your network in the same way that you have a short list of probably coaches in any given sport that you've had your eye on, and that if you had the opportunity, you would hire them. What does that look like in terms of your administrators and your office? Given this time of social unrest, if you do have someone, a woman of color, a man of color, a Black woman, a Black man, know that this time is particularly exhausting for them, because there's a lot being put on our shoulders in terms of, well, what do you think about this? And having to serve as the representative for a whole group of people that don't necessarily all think alike. That's a lot. And sometimes you are the only one. So it's good to have those conversations, but recognize that we are tired right now, and we may need a moment. But you also need to look at yourself and how you're engaging in those conversations, and don't just fully lean on that person or even your student athletes of color. It shouldn't all fall on them either. Everyone should be a part of this conversation. And I don't believe you will meet someone who will not want to be a part of it, but don't let the conversation start and end with that one representative or that handful of representatives. Make sure you bring everyone to the table and work really hard to, if this is truly something that you value or your student athletes value, and you say diversity and inclusion is something we stand for, make sure that your staff reflects that. Make sure that your student athlete population reflects that. And if they don't, then you probably need to take a really hard look at some of your policies. And is it something systematic? Is there something in admissions? Is it where you're recruiting? And there's a lot of different components to recruiting. And I've been on a campus, I understand that. But I know that if we can get a Black man to come to Meadville, Pennsylvania, that's pretty significant. And I can tell you there's not a lot of Black people in Meadville, Pennsylvania.
Very true.
So with that, what are the resources in place to ensure they're successful, right? You don't just want to bring people in and not have the resources to ensure that they're successful. So whether that's a coach or administrator, understand what's important to them. It could be where they get their hair done. It could be where they worship. It could be having social outlets with people that look like them. We're in a sorority or fraternity. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta, so almost everywhere I go, I try to find a chapter, and I know that I have a built-in network there. If you're a student, then we want to make sure, what is your Black student union, or African students, or whatever that resource is, multicultural group on campus. Is that a group that's going to help support them and help them feel valued as an individual on that campus, so that they can thrive and eventually graduate? And with that, you're going to breed more diversity, and it's going to continue forward. So that would be my advice and what I've seen over the years. But the work continues, and we're all here for it. But we just need to make sure there are some things in place to ensure we're supporting all of those individuals in an appropriate way.
Definitely. Well, Portia, thank you for your insight. We're glad that Cenntenial has a great representative of that in their higher ups right now. So we definitely appreciate your time, and thank you for coming on the show for us.
Thank you so much, Morgan. I really appreciate it, and you continue to do the great work that you're doing.